So, man, this has been a fucking catastrophe. Posted the video on the Lite, had the problems with it. I'm actually not having problems out of this Lite. I'm having some problems out of the Stout that just came in, so let's talk about that. To give my disclaimer, I was not sent this product for the purchase for conducting a review, but my opinions will remain true, honest, and accurate. And basically what all that means is I bought this, and I'm going to say whatever the fuck I want. And here we go. So, the VapeForward Flask Stout. Currently I have it set at 100 watts with a fresh eFest purple battery. That is a 32 amp battery pulsing up to 64 amps, I believe. I've also tried it with the eFest greens. This is 20 amp that pulses up to 64 watts. Similar situation on both batteries, actually. The greens, actually, if you go look, they overrate the purples, but in order to have a fair comparison, I did want to use a higher amp battery because it is recommended for a 30 amp battery. I spoke with the president of the company on his battery recommendations, and he recommended a battery that I'll put a link down in the description for this device. But I must say, vendors out there that are selling this piece of shit, and there are a few, this AWT 75 amp battery, throw them in the fucking trash. That is a 10 amp battery labeled as a 75 amp pulse battery. It's absolutely fucking atrocious to walk into a reputable shop who sells this device and buy that fucking piece of shit battery for $20. It's an absolute fucking disgrace, and it actually makes this company look bad to sell that shitty battery with this product. But with all that said, the AWT, my daughter picked it up, but she just doesn't get the point. It's a fucking piece of shit battery. And vendors, get them fucking things out of your shop because they're fucking dirt. I'll put a link down in the description to the test that shows that it is a bullshit cheap fucking 10 amp battery. So with all that said, we'll take a vape. Right now I've got it set at 100 watts with a 0.49 ohm coil. The recommended coil for this device by the president of the company was something between 0.4 and 0.5. Weight battery, we're limiting down to 84 watts. That's kind of what I've been plagued with here. It's like the 75 watt, I limit down to 63 on the 100 watt with a single 18650 32 amp battery. I'm rating down to 8 to the 80s, 83, 84. Pretty consistent problem. But that said, it is a really good vape. I mean, you know, honestly, I don't vape this Crown at 100 watts. I vape this Crown at 80 watts, and at 80 watts, jump down too quick. At 80 watts, I get a pretty good vape. Now, interestingly enough, I can take one of my Samsung 25Rs and put it in here, and it actually performs better in the little sleeve that they give you. It comes with a little sleeve in the Stout to allow you to put an 18650 battery in there. But you gotta be careful, because if you sit it down too hard with that little adapter in there, if you sit it down too hard, the device will actually disconnect. It's like the battery loses connection. But I am glad to see this. So if you're short on 26650, you can put an 18650 and still vape comfortably to 60 or 70 watts. Let's see another vape. I mean, it's a good device. I vape at about 80 watts all the time because I don't have any limiting at 80 watts. I do notice that if I get down to like 15-20% battery life, I'll limit down to about 40 watts because amp drain is what amp drain is, and I understand that. On the form factor, I really fucking like the form factor. It fits really, really well in the hand. It's just a nice, sexy device. Get you a good stainless steel device on it, and it works great. The problem with this device, and the problem with this device, and the problem with every other single battery device is they're not capable of delivering 100 watts or 75 watts. You know, VapeForward, I think I took a bit of a shit on them for releasing the Lite as a 75 watt device, when in all actuality it's a 60 watt device. I mean, but to be fair, you know, they're competing with the IPVD3, they're competing with quite a few other things, And I don't have a scope. I don't have a way to plug these things up and see what kind of actual wattage that I'm getting. But luckily, on the front of these, when I'm holding the button down, it does tell me what they're firing at. I'll tell you what I have noticed is if your battery gets below, what it needs to fire, I've noticed that this device has a hard time of actually getting up to over the current battery charge. I've noticed that on the Stout. I've noticed it on the Lite. Now, I don't understand. I don't know if this is a problem with the fact that VapeForward is showing you that the device can't do it instead of, the blissful ignorance of something like an IPv3 that you don't know how bad you dropped off. It's just telling you it's 75 watts, but when at the end of the day, it's actually probably not. So I think this more goes to a systemic problem in mismarketing and mislabeling, and I hate to see that VapeForward is falling into the trappings of other companies who are just doing that. They're just basically, under the right set of circumstances, with the right battery, with the right resistance, then you are able to accomplish what the marketed capacity of the device is, which is 100 watts in the Stout, 75 watts in the Lite. And I understand that they couldn't compete. Truthfully labeling devices as like an 80 watt and a 60 watt because then they're going up against other things, and education is the hardest thing to bring to this market. I do gotta slap them on the wrist a little bit though, because I think that I don't understand electronics, and maybe I'm blabbing here a little bit. I don't have dry knuckles, so I know that has nothing to do with it. My electrolyte balance is absolutely phenomenal, and I've actually found recently that my side effects of vaping actually include erectile hyperfunction, and that's something that I can live with. But moving on from the side effects of vaping, I just really think that, again, not understanding electronics, I think that, and I just assume, and this is my ignorant mind thinking, that there's some sort of capacitor or some sort of of something that allows the battery to fire at higher than its current voltage in order to attain a sustainable level of wattage until the battery reaches a certain point charge that it can't attain that level of wattage. That's how, in my mind, I assumed it worked, and maybe I'm wrong on that. Somebody please correct me on that. But I'll tell you, I am going to get a scope because I want to know. The question is I don't think VapeForward is necessarily lying to us on the device. I think VapeForward is maybe mismarketing the device as in an attempt to try to stay competitive with devices that are absolutely lying. So, I don't know, man. It's kind of a catch-22. You damned if you do, if you damned if you don't. You market it as a 75 watt or 100 watt device when it's really a 60 watt or an 80 watt device that can do that under a certain amount of circumstances and only with a specific battery. So, like, take how many 35 amp batteries, true 35 amp batteries are on there in the 18650 market? Maybe one or two. And so, that recommendation, a battery recommendation, I think would come really useful when buying this device. We recommend the, I can't think of the name of it, but we recommend the MNKE. We recommend that 45 amp, what is it called, the Bilius battery or something. It's a good battery. It's 45 amps, pulses up to 80. Good solid battery. So, selling this device with that optimal battery, that makes sense. But when there's only one or two optimal batteries, then it should be said 180 watts if using this battery or this battery. 100 watts using this battery or this battery, or 75 watts using this battery or this battery. Problem is, there's so many fucking batteries out there. And it's kind of hard to know, especially when you go into a shop that sells this device, but then in the same sentence sells this fucking piece of shit romp goddamn battery. That's really a fucking 10 amp battery. It's an AWT, it's labeled as 75 amps. And it's a fucking 10 amp battery. I mean, come on, guys. You fucking shop owners should know this shit. You should know that fucking battery's not going to work in this device. So I think we got a problem with people who are labeling things or marketing things to do things they're not really capable of doing. And then that's compounded by the fact that you've got shop owners buying fucking $2 batteries and selling them for $20 fucking dollars. For the devices, making the fucking manufacturer look bad. So, it's just a fucking shitstorm situation. But going back to the Stout, at 80 watts, I fucking love this device. It's my favorite 80 watt device I've ever had. But it's not a 100 watt device. It's marketed as a 100 watt device. But it vapes great at 80 watts. Let's go back to the Lite. I love this fucking device. These are the only two things I carry around. I carry a Stout and a Lite around. This is the best 60 watt device I've ever used. It's marketed as a 75 watt device, but let's see. And you know, under perfect circumstances, right now, I'm getting the full 75 watts. I'm not going to hide that. Right now, I am getting the full 75 watts. But once I hit about 80% charge, that 80 watts is going to turn, and this is a 0.22 ohm coil. When I hit about half charge, I'm going to go to weak battery, and I'm going to start limiting down to 63 watts. So with that said, I vape this fucking thing at 60 to 63 watts. And man, that's pretty well what I got. You know, if you saw the other video, it changes phenomenally. You just pop this dude open, pull a battery out, off she goes to the fucking races. Fucking good device, man. I just wish the marketing would get on point. So whether we tried the green battery, whether we tried the purple battery, whether we tried this fucking piece of shit yellow battery, no matter where we go, 100 watts is not attainable in what I have. The 100 watts was attainable on the 32 amp battery, the purple eFest. I was able to maintain that for about the first 20% of the charge, just like a 25 amp on the Lite. First 20% of the charge now on the new one that was, you know, and I gotta add this to a touch for touch, you know. Tested by Preston Knight. Preston, I appreciate you testing my device before it goes out, because I am getting more full 75 watts before my battery degrades to the point that it's, and I'm only talking about 20% degradation here. Once the battery hits about 80% charge, we're back to weak battery. So yeah, it's still kind of up in the air for me, even though with all of that, these are the two devices that I tote around all day, because I love the form factor. I just love everything about them. I love the Stout as an 80 watt device. I love the Lite as a 60 watt device. So anyway, it's Jamie JC West. That's what I got. Got another video converting here, the CCI Tri-Force tank. When this gets done, we'll edit this one. We'll get it up. And remember, Mason RDAs will be giving them away at on the Nomad show Thursday night. I'll post the link up in Facebook. And yeah, that's what I got. So see you again next time.